Hello and welcome to the 30k channel, a channel dedicated to the games set in the HORUS Heresy. I'm your host, as always, David Brains, and we are really pleased to have Robert and Tom back. Good morning, gents.
Morning, David. Thanks for having us back.
My pleasure, and I'm so happy that you've come back. You put on a really great game for us last time, didn't you? 3k, I think it was, two and a half. And now we're back for some Zone Mortalis action.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah. Now, I know Zone Mortalis isn't massively popular on the channel. I know you guys love your 6x4s in the normal Age of Darkness missions, but my personal favourite is Zone Mortalis, and I thought it'd be really great to get these guys set up and get them a Zone Mortalis game. So we've come up with a really, really cool mission. So hopefully we'll fight that out in front of you and see what happens. But first we need to thank both Tom and Robert for coming so far. You've come from Castleford.
Yep.
Couple of trains and a taxi.
Couple of trains. Well, one cancelled train, one train and a taxi.
Train services are not good these days.
It's not Southern Rail, though.
No, it's true. And Tom's come all the way from Manchester, so, great effort.
Little way, yeah, not too bad.
A little bit of a drive, eh?
Yeah,
we'll buy him lunch later, he'll be fine, so don't worry about it. Now, what we've got is, we've got a mission that we're calling Breach, and essentially we've got a Space Wolf compound that's been populated by some of your lovely, lovely vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
There's a glaive, there's a couple of Lasvindis.
Yeah, a couple of Spartans and a lightning randomly.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's happened here is the Space Wolves are getting ready to get in their vehicles and go out the ramp onto their next battle, but the Dark Angels have got wind that there's a complex around and you want to kind of junk all those vehicles, don't you?
We're going to try and sneak in and blow the vehicles up before they get out. That's the plan anyway.
Absolutely. So the Dark Angels have infiltrated somewhere in this complex and they're feeding their way through the complex to get to the vehicle bay. And essentially, points will be awarded for Tom for blowing the vehicles up. Now, there is a glaive in there. They've got 12 whole points.
12 whole points.
But all we're going to do is we're just counting a penetrating hit will blow up any vehicle. We assume that they're stationary, they're in a vulnerable position, and because if you try and get through 12 whole points, it's going to be a difficult prospect.
Yeah.
So
It's fine by me.
Of course. So Tom's going to be scoring. Robert is going to be scoring 3 points.
No, Tom.
I'm going to start. I had it right the first time, didn't I? Yeah. Tom is going to score 3 points for junking the glaive, 2 for each of the Spartans, and then 1 VP for the Lasvindis and the...
Lightning and the Arcus.
Thank you, Lightning and the Arcus. Cool. But at the end of the game, if those vehicles are intact, Robert will score 2 victory points for the glaive if it's still alive and 1 victory point for every other vehicle. And then we've got Warlord and Attrition there on that. So it does work out.
Yeah.
The reason why we've given the points advantage to Tom is because he's got to make it a long way onto the board through 2k of Space Wolves before he even gets to the vehicle. So we've got to make it worth his while.
Okay, well, we'll try.
You will. But also as well, the doors are locked to Tom and not to Robert because you're defending and you're attacking. But we have given some consoles to Tom in his deployment zone, and if he starts his turn on the beginning of those consoles, he can open D3 doors. So, we're going to make it a little bit of a struggle, but not impossible.
Yeah.
I'm quite excited for this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I'm really, really keen.
Should be good.
Now, you've not played much Zone Mortalis yourselves, have you?
No.
Okay, so you've had a couple though.
Do a little bit, up north. We've done a few games. We were running like a mini campaign, which was sort of Zone Mortalis sort of based.
Okay.
So a little bit.
And we will be using all of the Zone Mortalis rules. So we're using Poison Air, Cold Void, which is a really cool rule. So anything strength 4 above is rending, except if you're in Terminate Armor, Artificer, or Void Hardened. So all the great rules that make Zone Mortalis such an awesome game we are using. So I think it'll be quite bloody, really. I think, won't it?
It's going to be bloody, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. And I think the forces are really well balanced as well. You've got, Tom, you've got some Terminators and some Volkite, and you've got some Volkite as well, and you've got loads of troops and breaches as well.
Yeah, 20 breaches.
Yeah, it's good. And you've got 10, is that right?
10 breaches, yeah.
And you're running Assault Marines as well.
Destroyers.
Destroyers?
Yeah, 5 destroyers. Sort of going with the Dreadwing sort of feel again.
Yeah.
They don't tend to do a lot of work, but they look cool. And it sort of works with the fluff, and occasionally, like maybe 1 time out of 10, they'll actually do something. So.
Well, they're quite quick as well, so they'll certainly help. The board is quite tangled, really, that you're going through.
Yeah, it's something I'm going to have to deal with quick. It gives him something to sneak behind while I've got something that I've got to deal with.
Yeah. Do like a bit of misdirection
That's the
and
plan, maybe.
Yeah.
Bit Alpha Legion.
yeah. Well, that's the
Well, there
beautiful,
might be. There might be. You never know.
that's the beautiful thing about Zone Mortalis is, you know, it forces you down a corridor, and once you're kind of halfway there, to come back, you're out of the game. You've really got to think about it and commit really early and work out where you're going, because if not, you just end up running around the corridors and not actually seeing or shooting anyway. So you can get quite lost, but it's really good fun. I will say, gents, I've forgotten how well painted your stuff is, both of you. It's really, really awesome.
Thank you.
You know, and those Space Wolf vehicles look pretty cool in there.
I'm quite chuffed with them. Quite proud. I much prefer painting tanks to infantry.
Yeah,
Infantry is a case of got to get it done, whereas tanks, I'm like, yay.
it's a hard slog, isn't it? I think if I ever paint a Space Marine army, it will just be a vehicle in Terminator army, because I think that's probably as much as I can manage.
I think there's reasons other than rules for why Terminator heavy Pride of the Legion lists. You go, you know what? I've only got 20 guys to paint. I can do that.
Yeah, 20 guys and 3 Spartans. That's all you need.
Doing a weekend, no problem.
And
no
a Primarch.
No problem.
That's all you need. Love it. Well, gents, I'm really excited for this. I'm really looking forward to it. And we are going to go into these lists, find out exactly what these gents have taken, and then we'll go beginning of turn 1.
2,000 points, Vilca Fenrica, running the Zone Mortalis Assault Force Rite of War. They are led by a Praetor who has the Hunger of the Void Warlord trait, which gives him Rage. First HQ choice, Legion Praetor. He is equipped with Ether Rune Armour, a Mastercrafted Paragon Blade, digital lasers, Iron Halo, and a Power Fist. Second HQ is a Priest of Fenris, a caster of runes. He's running Biomancy with Smite and Warp Speed. He is equipped with Ether Rune Armour, a Frost Claw, and he has been upgraded to the 2nd Mastery level. First Elite's choice is 2 Legion Apothecaries, each with Artificer Armour. That's the only upgrades they have. Second Elite's choice is a Quartus class Contemptor Dreadnought with a Chain Fist, Plasma Blaster, Melter Gun, and extra armour. First of 2 identical troops choices for the Vilca Fenrica is 10 Grey Slayers. The Sergeant or Huskarl has a Power Fist, Artificer Armour, and Melter Bombs. Also, there are 7 power weapons and 2 further Power Fists in the unit, and they each also have a Vexilla. Third and fourth troops choice for the Vilca Fenrica are 2 identical Legion Breacher units. 10 Legion Breachers. The Sergeant has Artificer Armour and Melter Bombs. They are equipped just with hand weapons and bolt guns. No power weapons, no special weapons. One and only fast attack choice is a Legion Seeker Squad with 5 Combi Melters. The Sergeant has Artificer Armour and a Lightning Claw. Heavy support choice is a Legion Heavy Support Squad with Volkite Culverins. The Sergeant has Artificer Armour and an Augury Scanner.
1,981 points of Dark Angels, running the Zone Mortalis Assault Force Rite of War, led by a Praetor who has the Inspiring Presence Warlord trait. Dark Angels HQ choices. First we have a Legion Praetor. He has taken Artifice Armour, Digital Lasers, an Iron Halo, Melter Bombs, and today from his personal armour he's taken a Paragon Blade. Second HQ choice is a Legion Consul, upgraded to a Chaplain. He has taken an Artifice Armour, Melter Bombs, Refractor Field, his weapon is a Power Axe. First Elite's choice, 1 Legion Contemptor Dreadnought, upgraded with a Carey's Assault Cannon. Second Elite's choice is a Legion Destroyer Squad. They've been upgraded to take Jump Packs. The Sergeant has taken Artifice Armour and a Carbonite Warblade. The squad is also equipped with a missile launcher armed with the Radphage missiles. Third Elite's choice, 1 Legion Apothecary, upgraded with Artifice Armour. First Troops choice is Legion Tactical Squad. The Sergeant has been upgraded with Artifice Armour. He has also taken a Combi Melter. Second Troops choice, a Legion Tactical Squad. The Sergeant has been upgraded with Artifice Armour, and today he's taken a Carbonite Warblade. Third Troops choice is a Legion Breacher Squad. They've been upgraded to have 2 Graviton Guns. The Sergeant has taken Artifice Armour and a Carbonite Warblade. Third Troops choice is a Legion Terminator Squad. They have been upgraded to take Cataphractii Armour. There's a Carbonite Warblade on the Sergeant, 3 Volkite Chargers, a Plasma Blaster, and a Combi Melter. First Heavy Support choice is a Legion Heavy Support Squad. Today they've taken Volkite Culverins. The Sergeant has taken his Artifice Armour. Second Heavy Support choice is another Legion Heavy Support Squad. Today they've been upgraded with the Heavy Bolters with Molecular Acid Rounds. The Sergeant has Artifice Armour.
Tom, Robert, we're deployed, ready to go, yes?
Yep.
Now, I made you deploy in secret, didn't I?
Yeah, secret deployment.
Yeah, so one of you deployed, then we put a black sheet, and then the other one deployed. So,
Sneaky First Legion filth.
That's it. Don't know where we're going.
So Tom deployed, and Tom, you are going first at the moment.
At the moment, yes, unless Robert seizes.
Which I'm about to. Are you ready?
He's keen for a seize. Let's quickly have a friendly handshake before we go into it.
Not too friendly.
Good luck, gents. Let's have a look.
Here we go. 6 coming up. No. No. Tom to go first.
Dark Angels turn 1 movement. To start with, we had a few doors to open. I was in contact with 3 of the consoles, which we agreed was going to open D3 doors. I managed to open 6 doors in total. The Dark Angels have then pushed forward through these doors, trying to get close to the Space Wolves. On the left-hand side of the board, from the Dark Angels' perspective, the Destroyer squad have tried to sneak round this corner, trying to get a bit of a little run down the side while they're out on their own. In the centre of the table, a lot of the units have just pushed forward. Ones that can run have run a little bit. The Contemptors push forward in the centre of the table, supported by a tactical squad. And the Breaches and the Heavy Bolters have pushed round on the far flank, just trying to get a little bit more of advance from their runs.
Vilka Fenrika, turn 1. We've moved forward. The Breaches have stayed in position, waiting to see what comes through what door, as have the Heavy Support Marines. No point moving them. They've got decent fire arc for where I think things are going to come through. The Contemptor Cortus has pushed through, the Seekers repositioned a bit, and the 2 units of Grey Slayers have repositioned a bit. Not bothered with any psychic shenanigans this turn. Don't need it, not going to risk any peril to the warp. And no shooting either.
Dark Angels turn 2 movement. On the left side of the board, the Destroyers have moved up 6. They've also managed to run a massive 6 inches too, so they're making some real progress up the left side of the board. In the centre, the Terminators and the tactical squads have all pushed up. These haven't chosen to move extra with the run this time. Cataphracti can't anyway. I've chosen to leave the Contemptor without running and the tactical squad without running, as we've managed to open quite a few doors again from our consoles. With the D3 door open, we managed to open 5 doors, so we don't need to really push too hard in the centre there. And on the far right hand side, the Breaches have managed to run a little bit more forward, just trying to get into range and maybe have a few shots through the door at the Space Wolves. Dark Angels turn to shooting. The Contemptor is going to fire his Carey's assault cannon into the Vilka Fenrika Breacher squad in front of him. He's normally hitting on 2s, he'll be wounding on 2s, and because of the Zone Mortalis special rule, he'll be rending on 5s. So we've hit with all of them. And then we'll be trying to wound on 2s. We've failed 2 of the wounds, so that's 3 rends because of the special rule for 5. So that's over to Rob for some saves.
Okay, so I'm taking the 3 rends on the unit, not taking in anything on any special characters or sergeants, so it's going to be 3 saves invulnerable of a 4+ due to the Rite of War. So that is 2 saved, 1 failed. I do have a feel no pain because of the apothecary in there, and that has passed. So those 3 rends. Now the normal armour save, the non-rending wound, I am going to take on the sergeant. So it's invulnerable. He's failed that. No, he's passed his armour save rather, Artificer armour.
We'll fire the 2 shots from the Contemptor's Fist. He's got a combi bolter into the same Breacher squad. Again, he'll be hitting on 2s. Let's see what happens. He's hit with both of them. It's a strength 4 against toughness 4, so 4's to wound. And we've only got 1 wound there, no rends.
I will take the armour save on a normal marine, and he has passed.
The Dark Angels tactical squad have fired their bolters into the Vilka Fenrika Breacher squad. We managed to hit quite a few times, but we've only managed to score 4 wounds.
I'm going to take 2 saves on the apothecary and 2 saves on the sergeant. So on the apothecary first, 2 plus Artificer armour save. Saved, he's fine. And on the sergeant, same again. Sergeant's fine.
Dark Angels turn to sum up. The Contemptor could have done a few more. They've done a little bit more with his assault cannon there. We didn't actually manage to kill a model off or really do too much in the centre there, but it's early days, so we had a few shots. Hopefully we'll be a bit better next turn.
Vilka Fenrica, turn 2 movement. There's been some pushing up on my right-hand side. The Grey Slayer units are moving to engage the heavy support unit and breaches that are coming through. The Contemptor Cortus has barged through to meet its counterpart in the centre corridor. And on this left-hand flank of mine, the breaches have repositioned ever so slightly to meet the destroyers that I've got a sneaking feeling are going to come round this flank. The Seekers are attempting to swap sides. They will be running shortly in the shooting phase, and the Volkite chaps have just stood still. The Contemptor Cortus is going to fire its inbuilt melter gun at its counterpart, hitting on a 3+, BS4, missed. The Volkite unit have shot at the Dark Angel's Contemptor and scored 12 hits. Normally they'd be unable to harm the front armour, but because of Cold in the Void they gain rending. So 12 hits, looking for 6s for rending. And that's 3 rends. So let's see what the additional penetration is on those. An additional D3, so that is 1 glance and 2 penetrating hits. So Tom has some invulnerable saves. We've said because of the intervening models he would normally gain a 5-up cover save, but because it's so confined and there's a Dreadnought stood in the way, I'm going to up that for him to a 4+ invulnerable.
So one of the pens has gone through.
1 pen has gone through. The result for that, no extra, is 6. The 1 penetrating that's gone through, I've scored a 6, so the Dreadnought is immobilised. The Breacher unit in the centre are going to shoot at the tactical Marines behind the 2 Dreadnoughts. Again, it's going to be an improved cover save for them. They're going to be hitting on 3s. That's not a bad shooting phase. That's 7 hits. 4s to wound, and again rending on 6s because of Cold in the Void. So that's 1 rend and 4 armour saves for Tom. The rend will get a 4-up cover.
Here's the first one. We really need to make these saves now. This could be quite critical in the centre there. So the first one against the rend on a 4-up. We got that one. And then normal saves against that on a 3-up. We've lost 1 Marine. Not too bad.
End of the Vilka Fenrica turn 2 shooting phase. The Grey Slayers, led by the Caster of Runes, have capitalised on the damage done to the Dark Angel's Dreadnought, which was a bit intimidating, so they've decided to run forwards to engage the tacticals behind, and we're now getting ready to do some charges. Vilka Fenrica turn 2 assault. The Contemptor Cortus attempted to charge the Dark Angel's Contemptor Dreadnought, but was mown down with reactionary fire, rending shots from the Carey's assault cannon, so is now removed from play, all 3 hull points. On the right flank, however, the Praetor and his unit have made contact with the Breacher unit. The Praetor has made contact with the Breacher unit and will be striking first. No bonus attack for charging, but still 6 attacks on the charge with his Paragon Blade, so he's looking for 3s to hit. Mastercrafted. That's still 4 hits. Because of rage, he's up to strength 6. 2s to wound, but there's 2 instant deaths there as well, and 2 further wounds.
So we've got 4 vulnerable saves to make. Which would you like first?
Take the instant death ones first, please.
Okay, so 5 up. He's dead. And then the 2 normal attacks in comparison. He's passed 1.
So that would be 3 casualties. To the initiative 4 step of the combat now. The Vilka Fenrica have piled in. The Power Sword armed Marines have piled in. Now, they've got no bonus attack because of the Breacher shields, but they do have +1 weapon skill because of their Bestial Savagery rule, so I am going to be hitting the Traitorous Dark Angels on 3s. And that is not spectacular, but it's not too bad. 4 hits. Wounding on 4s. And that's 2 wounds, AP 3, so 5 up Breacher shield saves, please.
Okay, so 2 invulnerable saves, 5 up. We failed them both, so that's 2 dead Marines. Dark Angels attack back at initiative 4 step, so we've got 7 attacks, including the 2 Marines that died to the Space Wolves attacks. So we're attacking back 7. We're hitting on 4s. Too bad. It's 5 hits, and then we're wounding on 4s. Only 2 wounds.
2 wounds, no one close enough to put any tanking on, so 2 on normal Marines, 3 up saves. Loving it.
So the end of the combat there, it turned out that the power fists in the unit had been pushed out of the ability to strike. They've been pushed out of distance. However, the Dark Angels lost the combat by 5, failed their leadership, and were promptly swept by the Grey Slayer unit, who are now eyeing up that heavy bolter unit rather hungrily. Makes up quite nicely for the abysmal failure of the Quartus Dreadnought in the centre there, although the Dark Angel's Contemptor is immobilised, so it's not all bad news. Overall, for turn 2, I'll take that. Some gains, some losses, still a lot to play for, still not entirely sure what's going on. I've got to watch out for those destroyers over on the far side, hiding behind that far wall past the glaive. But yeah, should be good.
Dark Angels turn 3 movement. The Destroyer Squad have pushed up again along this corridor, hoping to sneak round the corner maybe. In the centre here, the Terminators and the Tactical Squad have pushed up towards the door. Terminators are getting ready to punch the door a bit. The Volkites in the centre haven't moved. They're going to try and train some shots down on the breaches if they're in range. The Contemptor's immobilised, so he can't move either. The Tactical Squad have just come through the door. They were originally following the Contemptor, but seeing what the Grey Slayers did to the Breacher Squad in the last turn, they've had to divert their resources elsewhere. Heavy Bolters have stayed still, hopefully to get some shots off in the shooting phase. Shooting phase, Dark Angels turn 3. The Contemptor's going to fire his Carey's assault cannon into the few Seekers he can see. I really want to try and thin this squad out a little bit because they've got the combi melters and I don't really want them to mash my Terminators coming through the door. So with the Carey's, he's firing his 6 shots, he's hitting on 2s. So he's missed 1, and we're wounding on 2s. And that's 5 wounds, no rends.
No rends, 5 armour saves coming up, all 3 plus because the Artificer guy is out of the way. 1 gone.
Dark Angels Heavy Bolter Support Squad are firing into the Grey Slayer squad in front of them. Because they're using their molecular acid rounds, we roll for the AP for each model before the shots are allocated. We've already rolled those and we only got 1 AP2 shot, the rest were either AP4 or higher. So we're going to roll them all together. The silver dice are the AP2. We're hitting on 3s. So we've got 2 misses for the AP2s and a few more for everything else. Then due to poison, 2 up, we're now wounding on 2s. 6s will rend due to the void, Blood in the Void rule, but we haven't had any 6s. So that's just 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 normal saves and 1 AP2 save.
1 AP2, there is no one close enough to do anything about the AP2, so the AP2 takes 1 guy straight away, and that leaves me with 6 normal armour saves to take against Grey Slayers. And I lose 1 additional, so 2 casualties in total.
Further shooting for the Dark Angels, the Tactical Squad are going to fire their bolt pistols into the Grey Slayers. We'll maybe go for a charge afterwards. So we've got 9 bolt pistols that can see. We'll be hitting on 3s. That's 5 hits, and then wounding on 4s, 6s will rend. And that's 2 wounds.
2 wounds, I will take them both on the Sergeant, who's the closest model with Artificer armour, and he's passed them both.
The Volkites Heavy Support Squad have fired into the Volkafenrika Volkite Heavy Support Squad, trying to thin them out before they tear us to shreds. So we fired 20 shots. We managed to hit with 14 of them. So we're going to roll for wounds. It's a strength 6, so it's 2s to wound. Of the 10 wounds scored, 3 of them were rending hits. I'd like Robert to take the normal wounds first.
So 7 normal wounds first on a 3 up. Failed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rend is immaterial. They are all dead.
the end of the Dark Angels shooting phase. The tactical squad tried to do a little run backwards towards the console. This would give me control of the door and allow me to let the Terminators run through at my own terms. However, they failed their run. They only moved 3 inches, so we didn't quite get to the door. That meant the Terminators then had to charge the door. We had a few poor attempts at trying to punch the door open with a chain fist, but we got there in the end. We've managed to rip the door off its hinges and we're through now. Unfortunately, though, that is leaving me a little bit exposed to the breaches sitting around by the Velka Spartan. Assault phase turn 3, Dark Angels. The tactical squad from the middle have run out from behind the Contemptor and we have charged the Grey Slayer squad. We were quite lucky we didn't take any wounds or hits from the reaction fire.
However, the Space Wolves have their Bestial Savagery rule, which gives them counter-attack, including the Praetor, who is a higher initiative than any of the Dark Angels. So he's going to be striking first with his 6 attacks. And that's 5 hits and 1 for Mastercrafted. That's 6 hits. And he has Rage, so he is Strength 6, AP 2. So 2's to kill. That would be 5 AP 2 wounds.
We took a lot of wounds from the Space Wolves Praetor there in the combat, but we're getting a chance to strike back now. We really could do with swinging a few swords here. The majority of the tactical squad will be hitting on 4s, wounding on 4s, but because of the Carbonite Warblade on the Sergeant of the tactical, he'll be hitting on 3s and wounding on 3s. They'll be signified with the silver dice. We'll roll them all together. We've not done too badly, we missed a few. So it's 2 misses from the normal. Now we'll be wounding on 3s on the silver and 4s on the blacks. And that's okay. A lot of wounds from the sergeant, not many from the squad.
4 wounds. I will take the 3 from the Carbonite Warblade first on my sergeant there with the bare head in the Artificer armour, so these are 2 up. And he's survived, and he's going to tank the last one as well, and he's survived. Vilka Fenrica now have a chance to retaliate with their Initiative 4 Power Blades. So we have 8 attacks, hitting on 4s, wounding on 4s. These are AP 3. So that is 7 hits, that's what we like. And 4s to kill. That would be 2 AP 3.
I'll try and take 1 on my sergeant. He's dead. And that's another Marine, that's not very good.
And now to Initiative 1 for the Vilka Fenrica. There are 2 Dark Angels left, however I have a Sergeant and 2 Grey Slayers with Power Fists. So that's 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, which is 3, and killing on 2s. Strength 8, AP 2. Only 1! However, we have killed 9 out of the unit for no return.
Took quite a bit of a beasting in that combat. We've now got to roll for leadership, see if there's anyone still around. That's a fail.
That's a fail. I am going to see if I can sweep you. I've got Initiative 5 in there on the Praetor, and that is an 11, which you can't beat.
Nope, that's me swept.
So at the end of Tom's turn 3 combat, the Vilka Fenrica were definitely victorious there. The unit that charged them was wiped out completely, and we have consolidated towards the Heavy Bolter, Heavy Support Squad.
Yeah, we've had a bit of a tough turn there. Dark Angels really need to get into the fight and get down into the Space Wolves deployment and start blowing some vehicles up.
Vilka Fenrica turn 3 movement. The Grey Slayer unit with the Praetor have moved forward to face off against the Heavy Support unit, which they were planning on doing last turn before they were rudely and ill-advisedly interrupted by a tactical squad. The Caster of Runes and his unit have moved forward towards the central corridor, might be thinking about doing something to that Dreadnought, not sure. The remaining Seekers have moved forward to have a look at the Terminators, and next to the Glaive, the Breacher unit have done some interesting conga line arrangement to ready themselves for these destroyers arriving at some point imminently. Vilka Fenrica turn 3 shooting. We're going to start with the Praetor's unit, going to open up with some bolt pistol fire. The Praetor is on the black dice because he is BS5, so hitting on 3s and or 2s, or missing mostly. That's 4 hits. 4s to wound, 6 is rend.
We'll have that. 1 wound and 1 rend. Could you please, Tom, take the... if you're going to look out, sir, the rend, please.
Okay, we'll look out, sir, the rend. Because the Blood in the Void rule, Artifice Armour negates the rending rule. Any 2-up armour save, it doesn't get rending against it. So even though the Sergeant has failed his lookout, sir, the shot doesn't actually kill him. So we've got 1 normal save to make, which I'm also going to tank on the Sergeant. And he's okay.
The Vilka Fenrica Seekers are going to shoot at the Cataphractii Terminators with normal bolt rounds. 2 are in rapid fire range, 2 aren't, so that's 6 shots, hitting on 2s. So they have 1 miss, but Brucey bonus unit against the Terminators, they're their preferred enemy unit, so we'll re-roll that. That's 6 hits. 4s to wound, no rending because of Cataphractii armour, but every little helps. 1, 2 wounds.
So it's 2 up saves. Oh, 1 goes down.
1 goes down. The Breacher unit are also going to target the Cataphractii Terminators. There are 7 of them in line of sight. Single shot each, hitting on 3s. That is 5 hits. And wounding on 4s. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 wounds.
4 wounds, 4 2-up saves to make, hopefully. We're okay.
They're okay. Continuing the shooting, the Grey Slayer unit has run up, led by the Caster of Runes, but the Breacher unit in the centre is going to open a fire with their bolt guns as well. We can glance the Dreadnought to death in theory. So we've got 14 shots, hitting on 3s. And that's not bad. Now we need 6s, followed by 6s again, to glance out the Dread. So we've got 2, looking for another double 6 to take off the last 2 hull points of that Dreadnought. No, nothing. Worth a shot. Vilka Fenrica turn 3 combat. My Praetor and his unit have, somewhat foolhardily it turns out, decided to charge the heavy weapons marines with heavy bolters who have rolled for their monomolecular acid rounds, and I'll let Tom tell you about that.
Yeah, we were very lucky with the AP rolls for the molecular acid. You roll before the shots are fired. We've managed to roll 4 either of AP2 or AP1 and only 1 AP4. So that's going to be 12 shots going into the Grey Slayers at AP2 or better. So we'll roll them now. So we're hitting on 3s. We've hit with a lot of shots there. We've only missed 3. Then we're wounding on 2s due to poison.
Yeah.
So a few ones.
There. So
That's 4 AP2s and 3 normal.
4 AP2s and 3 normal. So we're going to look out, sir, all 4 AP2 and 1 hits from the Praetor onto normal Grey Slayers, which will kill them outright, and any that fail he will have to take on his invulnerable, and then he'll also take all the normal armour saves as well. So 4 2-up lookout sirs, 3 have passed, so 3 Grey Slayers have died. He's taken 1 more, which can go to his invulnerable Iron Halo save, which he's failed, so he takes a wound. 3 Grey Slayers are dead. He now has 3 further saves to make of a normal 2-up, and he's passed them. So he's lost a wound, he's down to 2, and 3 further Grey Slayers have departed. We've made it into the combat with a monstrous 11-inch charge that was rolled off combat. The Praetor's going to be going first with 7 attacks on the charge with his mastercrafted Paragon Blade. 3s followed by 2s. So 1 for mastercrafted. So no, that's only 5 hits, he says. And 2s. That's 4 dead Marines, AP2. The 1 remaining Dark Angel did attempt to strike back, however, no wounds, failed to hit even, and was promptly dispatched, his thread cut well and truly by the Grey Slayers, who have advanced further on and are now eyeing up the Volkite unit. Continuing the assault phase, that flipping Caries has killed my Caster of Runes on the way in. It's quite good on the reaction fire, that. And another Grey Slayer as well, but I have 4 Grey Slayers with crack grenades going at initiative, hitting on 4s, and then because it's immobilised, it will be hitting its rear armour with those 2 hits and glancing on 4s, and it has 2 hull points remaining, so that's 1 glance to save.
So we have a 5 up invulnerable.
Of course it saves.
Dark Angel's Dreadnought is going to be hitting back. It's weapon skill 5 and the Grey Slayers are weapon skill 5 2 on the charge. So we're hitting on 4s. We've hit with 1, and it'll be 2s to kill 1.
And that's 1 dead. Unfortunately, that means the Grey Slayers have lost that combat by 5, including the wounds they took from reaction fire. So we're running, unless we can get a 4 or less, with a reroll though for the Vexilla. That's definitely going to need a reroll. And nope, we're running. Can't pursue me though for being immobilised, thankfully, so we are running 10 inches.
The Dark Angel's Dreadnought has done quite well there. He's managed to win the combat with his reaction fire as well. This has caused the Grey Slayer squad to fall back. They did run into their breacher counterparts, but they were lucky and they have managed to pass the Frenzied Panic test.
Pilka Fenrica turn 3 overview. It's been a bit of a mixed bag. The Praetor and his unit have continued to do well, scoring another unit. They've gone through 3 units now. However, the other Grey Slayer unit, led by the Caster of Runes, not such a shining performance. They've bounced off an immobile Dreadnought to the loss of the Caster himself, and they are fleeing. The Seekers have taken down 1 Cataphractii Terminator with normal bolt rounds, so that was okay. Bit of a mixed bag, some pluses, some minuses, although I still think Tom's got a lot to do for as far as the mission is concerned. Thankfully that Dreadnought was immobilised turn 1, because if it was still moving, it would be a whole different story.
Dark Angel's turn 4 movement. In the centre of the board, the Volkites have turned their attention to the Praetor and the Grey Slayer squad. If I leave them unchecked, they'll absolutely rampage through my back line, so I'm going to have to deal with them, unfortunately. The Contemptor's immobilised, so he ain't going to be doing much movement, but he's still got plenty of targets in front of him. Hopefully the carries can put in a bit more work. The Terminators and the Tactical Squad in the centre of the board are pushing forward again. They've been a bit slow, not really got the finger out yet, but hopefully they'll be maybe popping a few shots off, maybe getting to combat this turn. We've got the Destroyers on the right-hand side of the table have finally burst out of their little sneaky run down the side of the table. Finally got into contact with one of the vehicles, so hopefully we'll be able to score a victory point this turn. Dark Angel's turn 4 shooting. The Carey's assault cannon from the Contemptor is going to take some shots into the Breacher squad. Hopefully this might mow a path and maybe the Grey Slayers will flee through it. We can hope anyway. We're hitting on 2s. That's 2 misses. And wounded on 2s. With 1 rend, so that's 1 rend and 2 normal saves, please.
So we have 2 normal wounds and 1 rend. The Sergeant is the closest model, so the normal wounds on a 2-up, he's failed 1. Feel no pain, has failed it, so the Sergeant's dead. Then the rend then applies to a normal Marine left over, straight onto his Breacher shield, which has passed.
We have 2 shots coming from his combi bolter inside his fist. They'll also be into the breaches. We'll hopefully do another wound maybe. So we're hitting on 2s, that's 2 hits, and 4s to wound. No wounds. The Volkite Heavy Support Squad with the Volkite Culverins have managed to fire 20 shots into the Praetor and the Grey Slayers. They only managed to hit with 11 of those shots, and then further only 8 wounds, but 2 of them were the special rends. So that's 8 wounds allocated against. Can you take the 6 normal ones first, please?
6 normal ones. I am going to take them on my Praetor. He's the closest model, so he's going to attempt to tank all of them. And he has failed 1, so that takes 1 wound off him. He has 1 left, and there are now 2 of the special rends, which don't affect his armour because it's 2+, so he's also going to tank those 2. And he's survived with 1 wound remaining.
From the 1 wound that went through from the Volkites, there's the Deflagrate special rule. I've rolled to wound with that additional hit, which has managed to wound against the Praetor.
And that's a 3-up, he has just saved it, so the Praetor is still there.
Dark Angel's Terminator squad are going to fire into the Seeker squad in front of them. Hopefully we're going to try and move these guys out of the way. We're going to start off with the Plasma Blaster. I'm also going to fire the Combi Melter at the same time. They're both hitting on 3s. The black dice is the combi melter. So we've missed a plasma blaster shot, and that's a gets hot. Just do that. So he's fine. So then we have 2 shots there. It's wounding on 2s. So that's 1 wound from the first bank.
So that is AP2. There isn't anything I can do about that, although I can attempt to look out Sir on a 4+ onto a normal guy. He's failed, so the sergeant is toast.
The 4 shots from the Volkites in the Terminator squad managed to peel off a few more Seeker Marines. We managed to kill off another 2 due to the Cold Void special rule. We now have the bolt pistol from the chaplain. He's going to fire into the Seekers, hopefully kill the last one off. It could rend, so there's everything to play for. He's hit, and he'll need 4s to wound, and he didn't wound. The final Seeker Marine has failed his leadership test, and he is falling back. This is really good news for the Dark Angels. He is then collided with the 2 Breacher squads behind him, but they have both passed their blind panic test, so there's no further effects against those units. The Dark Angels tactical squad have fired into the Breachers just in front of the Spartan there. We're going to try and thin these out a little bit. Maybe we can then hopefully get to the Spartan and get some VP scored. We've fired to hit, and we've only managed to hit 6 times. We've got to try and roll for some 6 wounds. We're wounding on 4s. That's 3 wounds.
3 wounds going on to normal Breachers, as they're the closest guys. So normal 3+ armor saves. Failed 1. Feel no pain for the apothecary in the unit. He does feel pain. That is 1 guy dead.
The destroyers are going to try throwing a crack grenade into at the Arcus to try and get an immobile destroy and hit before we actually get into combat. So we'll be throwing a crack grenade, hitting on 3s. We've missed. Dark Angels turn for assault. The destroyers have managed to assault the stationary Arcus. They've all thrown their crack grenades in the assault phase. We've managed to score 1 penetrating hit, which we agreed was the victory condition for destroying a vehicle, so that scored me 1 VP.
Bilka Fenrica, turn 4. First thing I've done is rally the 2 units that were fleeing, the 1 remaining Seeker and the Grey Slayer unit there have moved their requisite 3 inches. The Breachers have repositioned ever so slightly to try and draw a bit of fire onto some of these destroyers to try and deal with some of those, and the Praetor and the remains of his Grey Slayer unit have moved up to the doorway to have a look at some Volkite chaps with looks to charge them. We have realised that the previous charge they did against the Heavy Bolter Marines unit in the previous turn, the Heavy Bolters shouldn't have got reaction fire because they're heavy weapons, so they wouldn't have spat quite so much AP1 at me, but we're not going to worry about it. Reaction fire is assault, pistol, or rapid fire only. Bilka Fenrica, turn 4 shooting. My 1 remaining Seeker can snap shoot only, so he may as well use his Scorpius shell, which is strength 5 AP2 heavy, so he would be snap shooting it one way or the other. He's shooting the Terminators, which are his preferred enemy unit, so 6s. He's missed. This Breacher unit next to the Glaive are going to open fire with their bolt guns on the destroyers that have just taken out the Arcus. There's 1 in rapid fire range and a further 4 who can draw line of sight, so 6 shots hitting on 3s. That would be 4 hits, and 4s to wound with the potential to rend. That would be 2 wounds.
So it's 2 saves of 3 up for the destroyers, 1 down.
The centremost Breacher unit are also going to target the destroyers. The closest target is the Sergeant in Artificer armour, so he has got a 2 up, so no rending on these. 3s followed by 4s. So that would be 5 hits, 4s to wound. 2 further wounds, please, Tom.
It's 2 2-up saves against the Sergeant. We'll tank them on him. He's okay.
Bilka Fenrica, assault, turn 4. The Volkite Caliver unit of the Dark Angels did overwatch, not reaction fire. 20 shots. They still took out 3 of the Marines accompanying the Praetor, so it's just a Praetor and 1 remaining guy. However, the Praetor is going to be striking first with his 7 attacks at weapon skill 6. So we are going for 3s, re-rolling one for Mastercrafted. He's actually weapon skill 7 because of the successful charge, but that's still for 5 hits, which is all we need, and 2s to kill. AP2, that's, wow, only 2 dead.
Dark Angels will attack back in the Space Wolves Assault phase for turn 4. We've got 3 attacks from the Volkite Cavalry, and we've hit with 2 of them. And we're wounding on 4s. 1 wound.
1 wound. I will take it on the remaining Space Marine, as you've not forced me to allocate it, and he has passed. 2 attacks now from the remaining Grey Slayer with his Power Fist. This is 3s to hit, 1 hit, 2s to kill, 1 dead Volkite Caliber Marine.
Unfortunately, we've lost 3 Marines out of that combat. That means we're having to take a leadership check. We have already lost 3, so we'll need to be rolling 5 or lower. We failed that, so we are falling back. Do the Space Wolves sweep me?
Initiative 5 from the Praetor. That takes me to 9. You need a 5 or more.
Don't get it, so
Swept.
I've been swept.
D6 consolidation. And that's further 4.
Dark Angels turn 5 movement. In the centre of the board, the Terminators have pushed forward, and the Chaplain has decided to leave the Terminator squad. This is hopefully so the Terminators will be able to charge the Velka Fenrica breaches, while the Chaplain can then divert himself and hopefully get into the glaive, maybe throw a melter bomb on there. Well, that's the plan anyway. The tactical squad have pushed up with the Praetor behind. Maybe they'll get a few shots onto the breaches to soften them up a little bit before the Terminators get the charge off. In the centre of the board, the Contemptor is still immobilised, but we'll maybe have a few shots into these Grey Slayers. And right at the back of the board, next to the Laser Vindicator, the Destroyers have hopped across, hopefully to get another VP, maybe blowing up another vehicle. Dark Angels turn 5 shooting. We'll start with the Kerry's Assault Cannon on the Dark Angels Contemptor. We're going to be firing into the Grey Slayer squad. We have 6 shots and we're hitting on 2s. We've hit with all of them. That's a good result. We're now going to be wounding on 2s. With 6s we'll do a natural rend. We've missed 2 of them, so that's 3 rends and 1 normal save. Can you take the normal save first, please?
Normal save, 3 up. Passed. And there is nobody nearby with anything that could stop the rend, so that is 3 casualties from the Grey Slayer unit.
The combi bolter from the Kerry's fist has fired into the Grey Slayer squad as well. It didn't cause any wounds. The 3 dead Marines from the Kerry's Assault Cannon has forced a leadership test from the Grey Slayers, but they passed, so they're sticking around. The tactical squad, the last intact tactical squad on the board, are going to shoot into the remaining Seeker for the Velka Fenrica. The reason being for this, we would like to try and clear a path to try and get a multi-charge off against the Spartan and the Breacher squad from the Terminators. So if we can clear that Seeker out of the way, we might stand a chance. I'm going to be firing 9 bolters and 1 combi melter at the Seeker. This combi bolter is signified, combi melter is signified by the silver dice. We'll be hitting on 3s. We've missed 1. And then we'll be wounding on 4s and 2 for the combi melter. 1 wound from the combi melter and 1, 2, 3, and 5 normal wounds. Can you take the normal wounds first, please?
Normal wounds first. Okay. 5 3-up saves. Here we go. No problem. Loving it. Or not. He's dead.
The Destroyer squad are going to throw a crack grenade at the Velka Fenrica Laser Vindicator. The Marine at the back of the Destroyer squad will be the one throwing the grenade, as this will catch the Vindicator's side arc. A little bit of a gamey one, but we're in the bottom of turn 5, at the start of turn 5, so we really need to pull this out of the bag. So we're hitting on 3s. We've hit. Now we'll need a 6, which will be a glance. We've failed. Dark Angels turn 5 assault. The Terminators in the centre of the board were hoping for a multi-charge against the Spartan and the Breachers. Unfortunately, the reactionary fire from the Breachers managed to kill off the only Chain Fist Terminator, which means I can't actually inflict any damage on the Spartans. That's a bit of a blow. The rest of the Terminators have charged into the Breachers. Maybe we'll manage to thin a few of them down, but it's a bit of a game changer there. The Chaplain was going to try and charge the back of the glaive, but he didn't make his charge. That was an 8-inch charge he needed, and he only got 6. Terminators are going to attack the Breacher squad in front of them. They're using the 2 Carbonite Warblades. Because of the Dark Angel's special rule, they will be hitting on 3s, we'll be striking first against the Breachers. So we'll go with that. 3 of them have hit. We'll then be wounding on, it's +1 strength, so it's wounded on 3s. And that's no wounds.
Vilka Fenrika's retort at initiative 4. There are 10 breaches, 10 attacks from breaches rather, with hand weapons. So these are hitting on 4s. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits, spectacularly average, and 4s again to wound. That would be 2 wounds, please, Tom. No AP.
So these are 2 up saves. So on the first Terminator, 2 up. Second Terminator, 2 up. They're okay.
Vilka Fenrika, initiative 1 step. The sergeant is still present with his power fist. 3 attacks base for counter charge, and that's 3 hits. And now 2s to wound. That is 3. Strength 8 AP 2, please, Tom.
So it's 3 invulnerable saves against the Terminators on 4 up for Cataphracti. So it failed 1, failed 2, failed 3.
Just for the record, that wasn't 3 attacks base, that was 2 attacks base +1 for counter charge, counter attack.
The destroyers at the back of the table are going to try and blow up the Vindicator with crack grenades. The vehicle is stationary, so they'll be automatically hitting. We just need 1 6 to get a penetrating hit. No 6s. Dark Angels turn 5 summary. We had a bit of a poor turn there. We maybe over-egged a few of our bets. We tried to split the chaplain off from the Terminators. In hindsight, probably would have been better to leave him with the squad. It actually meant in the Terminators losing to the Breachers in combat, so that wasn't great for the Dark Angels. And also the Destroyers at the back of the board didn't manage to blow up a Vindicator. So that means we haven't actually scored anything this turn. So we'll have to wait and see what how much the Vilka Fenrika can put the hurt on us now.
Vilka Fenrika, turn 5, movement, potentially the last movement phase of the game. The Praetor has moved to the console and shut 3 doors, and he has walled the Dark Angel's Praetor in with his tactical squad. Whether we get to do anything to them or not, I don't know yet, but they are shut in. They cannot get out. The 1 remaining Grey Slayer has moved towards the immobilised Dread. The remaining Grey Slayer unit have also moved towards the front of the immobilised Dreadnought. The Breacher unit that's just destroyed the Cataphracti Terminators have continued their advance towards the Chaplain to stop him getting at the glaive. And the remaining Breacher unit at the back of the board have moved to engage the Destroyers before they pop that laser Vindicator. Vilka Fenrika, turn 5 shooting. The 1 remaining Grey Slayer at the back has run to move closer to the immobilised Dreadnought, and the larger Grey Slayer unit have also run from the other side so that they can't fail any charges. We're now going to open fire with pistols from the Breacher unit at the Chaplain. So we are all hitting on 3s. The Chaplain has a 2+ save, so there's no rending. But we've got a good number of hits there. And 4s to wound. That would be 1, 2, 4 wounds. Shame about no rending, but hey ho. 4 wounds, please, Tom.
2 up saves.
Fails 1.
Still got 1 wound left.
Breacher unit at the back are targeting the Destroyers. We've got 3 pistols, because we're going to go and try and charge them afterwards. Hitting on 3s, all 3 hit. And 4s to wound. These can potentially rend, like that. So 3 wounds and 1 rend, please, Tom.
So the 2 normal saves will take against the first guy. So on a 3 up. He's okay, and the rend will kill him.
Due to losing 1 Destroyer Marine, the Dark Angels were forced into a leadership test, but they did pass it on an 8. They have a veteran sergeant in there, so they're leadership 9. Vilka Fenrika, turn 5, assault. The 2 Grey Slayer units have assaulted the Contemptor. Again, it's reaped an awful toll with that dreaded Carey's assault cannon, leaving me with only 1 Power Fist in combat. Tom is going to strike first with his Initiative 4 Power Fist with his 2 attacks. He is -1 for being immobilised, and he's attacking the single Grey Slayer at the back, needing 4s to hit.
Hit with 2.
And 2s to kill. And he is dead. Nothing we can do about that. The one remaining Grey Slayer is going to use his crack grenade. He's going to hit the Contemptor on 4s. No, he's not. He's going to miss. That means he has lost by a mighty 5. So he is leadership 3 with a reroll because there's no veteran in there anymore. He's running so far. Reroll for being the Vexilla bearer. He's definitely running. He's going another 10 inches.
I can't sweep because the Contemptors are mobilised.
The breachers are assaulting the remaining destroyers.
Dark Angels will be attacking first because of their special rule with their bladed weapons, allowing them to strike first when they are fighting a unit with the same weapon skill. So we'll be striking on 3s with the Carbonite Warblade. That's 3 hits, and it's +1 strength, so we'll need 3s to wound. That's 2 wounds, please.
And that's AP 3, so we're straight to Breacher Shield saves of 4+, because we are still in base contact, and that's both saved. Now the Breachers at initiative 4, we have made a successful charge, so +1 weapon skill makes us weapon skill 5, so hitting on 3s. Quite a decent number of hits there. No AP from any of these, however, so Tom will get to make his saves, but we are looking at 4s to wound, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wounds, please, Tom.
Could be enough to do the squad. So the first ones in base to base will be the normal Marines. So we'll take these on 3-up save. So 3 up. It's a 6. That's okay. 3 up. 3 up. That's 1 dead Marine, and last one, 2 dead Marines. It's only the Sergeant left alive. The 2 Destroyer Marines, even though they have died at this initiative step, initiative 4, would be attacking back, so we'll have their attacks now. It's 2 attacks each. They're hitting on 4s. That's 1 hit, and then we'll need a 4 to wound, which we get 1 wound.
1 armor save. Passed. Which means the Vilka Fenrika have won that combat by 2, so puts you on leadership 7, please, Tom.
That's it. So leadership test, and we passed that with a
passed.
6.
So we all pile in. Carrying on the combat, there is the other unit of breachers there who are going to attack the chaplain. There are 7 breachers and the apothecary to strike at initiative 4. Weapon skill 5, so hitting on 4s. Only 5 hits, not a great show there. Could have done with preferred enemy from a different kind of Priest of Fenris, but hey ho. So 5 wounds, 4s again to wound. And that is 2 wounds on the chaplain, who only has 1 left.
Artifice armor, so it'll be a 2-up save for those 2 wounds. First one, 2 up, he's okay. Second one, he's okay.
He's okay. So now we're on to initiative 1 step. I have my sergeant with a power fist. So that's 2 attacks base plus 1 for charging. Weapon skill 5 against weapon skill 5, hitting you on 4s. That's 2 hits. And now 2s. 2 wounds, effectively instant death. 5 up invulnerables, please.
That's it, 2 refractor field save, so 5 up. And he's dead.
Gone. But he does get to strike still.
He still gets to strike back. He'll have 2 attacks with his power axe. Again, he'll be hitting on 4s. That's 2 hits. No strength.
So 1 wound.
1 wound.
And 1 breacher shield save. Passed. Correction, because of the power axe's bonus strength, the chaplain, Dark Angel chaplain, caused 2 wounds, so I have an additional breacher shield save to make, which has failed. Feel no pain for the apothecary has failed, so I have lost 1 breacher. However, the chaplain is dead, so I do get to consolidate, which is a further d6 inches, which is 5.
That was it. That was Breach, as we've called this mission here. And wow, what a game it was. I mean, Tom, you pushed through, but your final assault, it collapsed, didn't it?
Yeah, it was lacking a bit when it needed the final push.
It did, eh?
We got there, we just couldn't really do much when we did get there.
Yes.
Sort of got whittled down along the way.
Yeah.
Maybe put a little bit too much hope into the destroyers, expecting maybe a little too much from them, just to blow up all the vehicles. They're called destroyers after all.
You'd think.
They are, right? But Robert, you've won this game.
Yes, I have.
You've now won a piece.
One apiece, yeah.
Yeah.
You did suffer at the hands of a mighty Contemptor Dreadnought throughout the game, didn't you?
That thing is ridiculous.
but you did it though.
Yeah. No disrespect to Tom, but I think the only thing apart from the destroyers who killed one vehicle, I think everything else pretty much fell to that carries. It took out my Contemptor Cortus.
Yeah.
It took out one entire unit of Grey Slayers. It took out one of my HQs. It just wasn't missing, and it was just rending every turn.
And considering it was immobilised, turn 1 was it? Turn 1, turn 2?
Yeah, turn 1 I immobilised it.
It's pretty good for an immobilised Dreadnought.
Yeah, it's not bad.
He did all right.
It's because he didn't have to concentrate on moving. He just had to monotask. He didn't have to
One thing.
multitask. Yeah.
You got one job.
Let's quickly look into these to the victory points. Now, if you remember, Tom would have scored victory points for taking out the Glaive. 3 points for that, 2 points for a Spartan, and 1 point for the Lasvindis, the Arcus, and the Lightning. But Robert, you scored points if they were alive at the end of the turn, at the end of the game, rather. So, Tom, you scored a mighty 1 victory point.
Woo. Yep.
It was a great effort. That destroyer squad was perfect. Whip round the back, jump hacked, cane the Arcus, done.
Even when it's just a terrain piece, the Arcus gets it first. People hit them that much.
Yeah, they're a tough old prospect, aren't they?
Yeah. It's lucky I didn't turn the turret round and shoot at you.
Yeah. No driver got to the vehicle in time, so that's good. But in reply, Robert, you scored 10 victory points, 7 of which was for attrition.
Yeah.
The rest were for your vehicles left intact at the end of the game. But Tom, you had a special rule?
Yeah, Covenant of Death, which is specific to the Dark Angels. If they don't overwhelm and beat the enemy force completely, have more friendly models alive at the end of the game, they give the enemy an extra D3 victory points, which we managed to roll a 5 for, so that's an additional 3 over to Rob.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll take them.
So final points at the end was 10 victory points to the Space Wolves and 1 for the Dark Angel. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
A really great win.
Yeah, a bit different to last time.
It was, definitely. I was a little bit concerned, I'm not going to lie, that the mission was a bit too hard for you, but I think if you'd made that crucial charge with the Chaplain and the Terminators and you hadn't been Overwatch with the thing, you would have scored 3 for the Glaive, 2 for the thing. There would have been less points off you, and I think it just would have gone...
You probably would have got 1 for the Breaches folding under that as well, so that could have been 6 victory points, and potentially 7 just there.
Yeah.
But luckily, for some reason, Breaches without any special weapons took down your entire unit. Although it was the Sergeant, 3 hits, 3 wounds, and you failed 3 armour saves.
That's
So,
where it goes.
or 3 invulnerables, rather. So
I don't think it was impossible. So, I think it was reasonable.
It was doable, definitely.
if you'd had another Contemptor with the carries, you would have won.
You needed 2 more of those.
You need another one.
Well, hell of a game. I really enjoyed that. I think the scenario worked really well, that you'd snuck in through the complex, making your way to the motor pool, and I really liked it. It was a really good mission.
Yeah.
I think you did a sterling job. Those Breaches did the business, didn't they?
They did. They really did.
Fantastic. Now, Robert, you have brought back your Praetor.
Yes.
Is it fair to say he was a bit of a beast, Tom?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, we've just totted it up off camera, and he pretty much alone. He went with a unit, but the unit didn't do a massive amount. His toll at the end of the game is pushing on for best part of 800 points. About 770 points. We've just worked out that he's walked through on his own.
It's a beast.
And the Aetherune armour, he was down to 1 wound, which is the extra one that the armour gives him.
Yeah.
So, only a Vilka Fenrica Praetor could have done that, because anybody else's would have died to your cheating reaction fire with your heavy bolters.
Yes, and if we address that, yes, we did get it wrong. Heavy weapons don't get reactionary fire, but I think ultimately it didn't make a massive difference, because the squad went in and butchered that squad anyway.
Yeah.
You may have had a couple of extra models left at the end of the game, but
it wouldn't have made.
I don't think it was game changing, was it?
No, it wasn't. No.
But we did remember the Volkite.
Got there in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any chance to rib the First Legion, basically.
Of course.
Go for it.
But I will say though, your reactionary fire was spectacular.
You only failed 1.
I failed 1, yeah.
Yeah.
Failed 1,
in the
but all
last turn from a guy with a bolt pistol.
Yeah.
That's all you
Cost
failed.
me the game.
It's such a great rule, isn't it? A reactionary fire. Yeah, it's initiative check, and then you're firing at full ballistic skill. And effectively, you're getting 2 turns of shooting on a unit if it's your turn, and then they charge you in the following. But it's quite good, eh?
It's almost a game changer. It just brings in a whole different dynamic. So instead of you being quite confident, and maybe more from a Space Wolves perspective, of sort of getting into the enemy, getting into charge range, charging. When you've got that reactionary fire, it's kind of like,
have I got enough bodies still that are going to be left to get through that? And obviously, you've got your charge distance is getting longer with everybody who falls over.
Yeah.
So it gives you a heck of a lot more to think about.
You definitely kind of have to set up that where you've got 2 units charging 1, and you put the more resilient unit in first, or the one you don't mind losing to Overwatch, and then the one that really does the business. You do have to set up a little bit more, and it's definitely more of a tactical game, I think.
Very much so.
Zone Mortalis.
With the Zone Mortalis in general, with the extra rending from the Cold Void.
Yeah, Cold Void, Poison Air.
That's it.
That's
Cold
the one.
Void, Poison Air. Eventually, I'll remember.
No, you got it. Yeah, you got it towards the end, so it's good. It's a big rule to remember if you're not used to it.
But getting the rend on the 6s as well with that for the pistols, rapid fire, and assault weapons.
Yeah.
It's massive. The amount of troops. It means that tactical marines are almost like how sniper vets used to be
2 weeks ago.
Pre-FAQ.
Yeah, pre-FAQ.
But it means that what would maybe a unit that couldn't physically hurt another unit, you can now with the rending. So in that sense, it means bolters can hurt dreadnoughts.
Yeah.
And it just opens the game up with a lot more variety of sort of options you could take.
It's crazy, isn't it? A 20-man tack unit running down a central corridor, maybe with a character that makes them fearless, is pretty much an immovable object, isn't it? And if you can Fury with that unit, that is quite impressive. Or even if you get a reactionary fire off, that's a lot of shots, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rending.
Definitely.
It's quite cool.
Game changer.
It is, eh? Well, I really, really enjoyed that. It was a fantastic game, and as I said at the beginning of the interview here, these armies are really, really great, and the grey of the Space Wolves look really good. Sorry, you're not supposed to call them Space Wolf. That's the ignorant word for them, isn't it?
Yes, it's the Vilka-Fenrica.
I know they'll always
or the
be
Rout,
Space
if
Wolves
we're
to
being
me.
formal.
We'll call them the Rout then.
Yeah, okay.
We'll call it. So it was good for the grey of the Rout to contrast against the Wolves of Zone Mortalis, and then you got these black Marines kind of advancing forward. I think it was a really, really great game. And thank you so much for bringing your vehicles, Robert.
That's all right.
It was really, really awesome. Don't forget, these guys put some amazing effort and time to come here today. I think you might be bobbing back to Manchester, or Liverpool rather.
Will be, yep.
But we might go for a sneaky pint, mightn't we?
That could be a plan.
Might try and arrange that. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
That could be a thing.
It's been sweltering today in here. It's so hot. It's unbelievable. It was the hottest day of the year yesterday, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a spillover. We've got thunderstorms today, so it's a little bit better.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've taken loads of photos from this game. So if you would like to see photos from this game, go to the Facebook page when this game goes out. All of the photos will be there. In the meantime, you can follow these guys on their Instagram. Robert, where are you?
I'm at El Plebeian.
Fantastic. Tom?
I'm sure it's under there somewhere.
If I do my job right, it will be, yes.
Yeah, look, I'm doing this. You'll have to edit it in now.
Fingers crossed.
Mine's at Straight Out of Caliban.
Fantastic. And if you want to catch up with the channel, what we're doing between games, we are also on Instagram. It's at the 30k channel. There'll be photos from this game and photos on all the games that we film here in the studio. So please go have a look. Please give us a follow. Please give these gentlemen a follow. Any final words to say?
Well played.
Well played, and I think we best make it best of 3 at some point.
Oh, okay.
Deal.
Best make it best of 3.
Should we do a big 6x4 spectacular?
Yeah.
Maybe in a bit bigger, perhaps. Because I know you've got some knights and some glaive.
I've got a knight. I've got about 6. I can put about 6k on, I think.
Jeepers, Tom, what are you looking at?
I think I need to up my game.
I'm not sure I could do that and still adhere to the Force Organisation chart, but
we'll have to do a big game, maybe.
Yeah, we'll sort something out.
All right. And maybe a trip to Forge World for you and get some stuff.
Like yeah. Well, I think we have to upgrade Mr. Contemptor after this game.
Yeah, he gets put in a Leviathan chassis. He's earned it.
Well, either that way, he needs a name and he needs a Forge World model, perhaps, just to give him a little bit more posing and it's a bit more
something in the air, maybe.
Yeah,
cheering.
Yes. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoy this game, gents. Thanks again.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure, and we'll see you in the next one.